Hey guys, welcome back to AZ Triumphster. So, got a few developments on the new Fat Bob. Just fired it up. I'm gonna head to work, and once I get there and get settled, I'll get you all caught up on what's been happening with this bike. All right, I'm here at work. Already got settled, and I answered a few emails, and yeah. Let's step outside, take a walk around the bike, and I'll show you guys what's been going on. All right. Well, let's start with the mid-control kit, since that's what I did first, and the shifter side too. So first, let me start off by saying that the forwards aren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. I'm 5'5", and I based my expectation off of when I had my 48 and when I had my 72, and it's not actually that far forward. So, if you're more than, I don't know, 5'7" or taller, probably somewhere in there, you'd probably be all right with the forwards, to be honest. But these mids are pretty cool. They feel like they're a bit more elevated than, say, a Street Bob mid or an FXLRS mid. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's just because I'm so used to my forwards on my Slim. But yeah, so here's the shifter side. Now this was a real straightforward, easy install. You just the bracket, you got your two pieces here, the arm that reaches over and back. Now initially I had, the intention was to just get a mid-control kit off of a Street Bob or a Lowrider S and use it, but it turns out that the shifter comes out of the case on that, and so you can't really do that. So that's why you've got kind of this, a little more complicated setup, but it functions well. This may be too big. I have to pick my whole foot up to downshift, but I'll give it a little more time. Maybe I'll get used to it. And then the brake side is wholly overcomplicated. And again, I think that they have it this way because of the factory exhaust. On the Street Bob and the Lowrider S, you have your front head pipe, but your rear head pipe comes through here. So I think that's why they have to do this one a little different. But this side was it wasn't as easy as the other side. Let's just say that. You can do it if you have the right tools and patience. I'd say overall, it took me about 2.5 hours to do the whole kit install, both sides. But yeah, so I mean, basically you've got your lever here, which moves this rod here, which actuates this piece, which there's another rod here, comes down and pushes the plunger on the rear master cylinder. So it's, like I said, it's a bit over engineered, but again, it works. I rode today for the first time with the mid control kit, still with the factory bars, but it definitely felt like a more aggressive riding position. So it was, and you feel a little more, like I said, poised and over the bike in the way that you can, make quicker reaction, quicker input. So it's a lot of fun that way. My heat shields are off at the powder coater right now. They're getting Cerakoted black. And I'll probably run the factory head pipe with those Cerakoted heat shields for a while, and I'll be switching the factory mufflers out for something later on. I did drill out the baffles. It's just a plate in there. I think it's 1.25 inch plate with a hole saw. And the outcome is less than expected. For what I went through to get these mufflers off, it's not worth it. I would say if you're thinking, I'll just drill them out and that should get me more sound, it really doesn't. The only time I noticed the difference in volume was under heavy throttle. So to me, do it over again, I wouldn't. I would just leave them and just look to get a set of aftermarket mufflers much sooner. Yeah, that's really the most, the biggest developments. I've got my cool oil cooler cover there. Smoked out the lenses, put my swing arm bag on. So, all in all, guys, I'm really happy with this bike. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to do some MX style bars for a little while, kind of ride that style and see how it goes, but just putting the mids on, it already feels like a different motorcycle. So I'm real stoked. So if you've enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, because I would think next is probably going to be, well, the heat shields will go back on, and I'll probably do some bars, hopefully. The idea is to see how tall I can go with the factory cables and wires. So if I base it off of what I learned from my Slim, the Slim came with similar overall rise bars and width as this, and I was able to go with an 8-inch T-bar with the factory clutch, factory brake, and factory wires. It looks, just by looking at it, the brake looks like it would afford enough slack for 8-inch bars. The clutch, maybe 6, but I would go narrower on the bars, so maybe that would allow some additional height. And I'm sure the wires I can create a little bit more slack. But ultimately, I'd like to run some 8s, just get them up a little bit taller. But if it ends up with 6s, it's still a 2-inch rise over what it is right now. It'll end up being a narrower bar by about 3 inches or so. So yeah, it's going to end up looking real cool. And I'll keep you guys apprised of the development each step of the way. So thanks for hanging out, guys. The weekend is upon us, so I'm going to get out and ride. I'm going to love this bike. I enjoy it already, so I'll be out there. If you guys are out riding, just stay safe.